Eos. Someone you just met made you feel like the most important person in the room. They remembered small details you mentioned once in passing. They mirrored your tone, your posture, even the rhythm of your speech. Within minutes, you felt a warmth toward them that usually takes months to build, and you never questioned why it happened so fast. That speed is the signal. Genuine trust develops gradually through shared experience, consistent behavior, and earned vulnerability. When trust arrives instantly, fully formed, and without friction, something else may be operating beneath the surface, something deliberate, something that treats your openness not as a gift to honor, but as a gap to exploit. Today, we are not teaching you how to manufacture trust. We are showing you how manufactured trust feels from the inside, so you can recognize the difference between connection that is real and connection that is engineered. By the end of this, you will have a clear set of recognition cues and protective responses that do not require you to become cynical or closed off. They simply require you to slow down. The cost of missing this pattern is not embarrassment. It is access. When someone gains your trust artificially, they gain access to your decisions, your resources, your emotional bandwidth, and your willingness to override your own instincts. You begin making exceptions for them that you would never make for anyone else. You dismiss early warnings because the relationship felt so natural from the start. You rationalize behavior that would concern you if a friend described it happening to them. By the time the pattern becomes visible, the damage is often already unfolding. Financial decisions have been influenced. Relationships have been isolated. Boundaries you once held firmly have quietly dissolved. So how does engineered trust actually work at the psychological level? In personality psychology, researchers Richard Christie and Florence Geis developed the construct of Machiavellianism in the 1960s. They created the Mach 4 test, a 20-question Likert scale personality survey measuring traits like manipulativeness, indifference to morality, lack of empathy, and a calculated focus on self-interest. Those who score high on this scale tend toward deceitfulness, exploitativeness, and a cold, unemotional temperament. The construct itself bears no relation to the historical Machiavelli beyond the name. It is a measurable personality dimension, not a character judgment. This does not mean every charming person is high Mach. What it means is that psychology has documented a measurable pattern where certain individuals treat social connection as a tool rather than an experience. They are not bonding with you. They are calibrating to you. They observe what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel valued, and what makes you lower your guard. Then they deliver exactly that, with precision that feels like intimacy, but functions like strategy. The mechanism works through something researchers broadly describe as strategic self-presentation. A person studying you quickly identifies what you value, what you lack, and what you respond to emotionally. Then they reflect those things back to you, creating an illusion of deep compatibility. Your brain registers familiarity and safety, your defenses relax, and the window of influence opens wide. Consider the first scenario. You start a new job and a colleague takes unusual interest in helping you navigate the office dynamics. They share insider information freely. They position themselves as your ally against a confusing environment. You feel grateful. You feel seen. Weeks later, you realize the information they shared was selectively true, designed to isolate you from others who might have offered a more balanced perspective. The trust you felt was not earned through honesty. It was constructed through strategic generosity, timed to your vulnerability as a newcomer still searching for solid ground. Now a second scenario. You meet someone socially who seems to share an almost uncanny number of your opinions, your taste in music, your frustrations, your humor, your values. The alignment feels effortless. Over time, though, you notice their opinions shift depending on who else is in the room. The version of themselves they showed you was not a self, it was a mirror. And mirrors do not have their own preferences. They only show you what you already wanted to see. A third scenario. Someone confides in you early, sharing something personal that feels vulnerable. You feel honored by the trust and naturally reciprocate with your own disclosure. Later, you find they shared the same story with several people, using the same tone of cautious intimacy each time. Their vulnerability was performed, not felt. It was a key designed to unlock yours. And once yours was unlocked, the information you shared became leverage they could use whenever the dynamic required it. Here is the turn. These patterns are not unstoppable. They rely on one critical assumption, that you will not slow down. Manufactured trust depends on momentum. It depends on you accepting the feeling without examining the evidence beneath it. The moment you pause and ask yourself whether the trust you feel is supported by consistent action over time, the mechanism loses its power. It cannot survive scrutiny. It can only survive speed. So what interrupts it? Time. Genuine trust survives delay. Engineered trust pressures you to commit before you have enough information. If someone resists your need to slow down, that resistance itself is data. A person who respects you will welcome your caution. A person who is calibrating to you will treat your caution as an obstacle. For your defense. First, notice pace. If a relationship feels unusually accelerated, ask yourself what evidence supports the trust you already feel. Warmth is not evidence. Consistency over time is evidence. Pay attention to whether the closeness was built through repeated honest interactions or through a single overwhelming experience of connection. Second, watch for lopsided vulnerability. If someone shares personal information early, but you notice they never seem affected by it afterward, never reference it again with genuine emotion, the disclosure may be strategic rather than genuine. Real vulnerability leaves traces. Performed vulnerability is deployed and then forgotten. Third, test consistency across contexts. Does this person behave the same way when others are watching? Do their values hold steady or shift with the audience? Authentic people have rough edges that stay visible regardless of setting. They do not transform into entirely different versions of themselves depending on who is present. Fourth, protect your reciprocity instinct. You do not owe someone matching vulnerability just because they offered theirs. You are allowed to receive without immediately returning. A safe person will not pressure you for equal disclosure on their timeline. They will let the relationship unfold at a pace that feels comfortable for both of you. Fifth, document your own boundaries. When you notice yourself making exceptions for someone, write down what the exception is and why you are making it. If the reason is only that you feel close to them, rather than that they have demonstrated trustworthiness through sustained, reliable behavior, slow down. That written record becomes your anchor when emotional momentum tries to override your judgment. If a pattern persists and escalates, professional support from a licensed therapist or counselor can help you map what happened and rebuild your boundary system. There is no shame in needing outside perspective when someone has been deliberately bypassing your defenses. Seeking help is not weakness. It is the appropriate response to a situation that was designed to confuse you. Now let us zoom out. Recognizing a tactic does not equal diagnosing a person. The Machiavellianism construct measures a spectrum of behavior, not a binary category of good or evil. Everyone engages in some degree of self-presentation. We all adjust our behavior depending on context. The line between normal social calibration and manipulation is drawn at intent and harm. One behavior does not make someone dangerous. A sustained pattern designed to exploit you does warrant protective distance, but that distinction requires observation over time, not a single interaction judged in isolation. Do not use this information to label people in your life. Use it to listen more carefully to your own discomfort when something feels too smooth, too fast, or too perfectly aligned with what you want to hear. Your unease is not paranoia. It is pattern recognition trying to reach your conscious awareness. Return with me to where we started. Someone made you feel like the most important person in the room. Now, with new clarity, ask yourself a single question. Did they earn that feeling, or did they engineer it? The answer lives not in how you felt in the moment, but in what happened consistently over time. This material is educational and defensive. It exists to help you recognize patterns of manufactured trust and protect yourself from exploitation. It is never intended as a tool to manipulate, harm, or control another person. The Dark Mind Ledger. Understand the pattern. Protect yourself. This content is for educational and defensive purposes only. Understanding these tactics helps you recognize and protect yourself from manipulation. It is not intended to harm others.